Hey everyone, we are talking about public art right now. Thought we'd begin by defining our terms, what public art is. So this is, when we say public art, we're talking about art of any media that's been planned and executed in the physical public domain. They're often outdoors and accessible to all. These are site-specific works usually, so they're conceived, constructed, and installed with a certain location in mind. So site-specific works, as we saw in the sculpture unit, interact with their environment. They speak to their environment, and the environment kind of speaks back to them. Community involvement and collaboration. This is important. This occurs to varying degrees, and usually when public art becomes the most controversial, it's when community members, whether they're the majority or the minority, claim that there wasn't enough consultation done of the public, whether it was, in the type of artwork chosen, the location where it was installed, or so often the funding of the work, if it's publicly funded, which we're going to get to that in a few slides here. The oldest forms of public art that we're probably most familiar with come in the form of monuments and memorials. Many large cities require that around 1% the cost of federal building construction be set aside for procuring public art. Now, sometimes these artworks are kind of derisively called one percenters, or you might hear them be called plop art, like PLOP, because oftentimes they're large, non-objective, abstract sculptures that kind of look like they've just been like plopped into the landscape. Commonly in the financial district of large cities. If you've ever seen Fight Club, at the end, there's a 1%, a giant ball goes on a rampage. That's a good example of a 1% artwork. And the purpose of this is, number one, to contribute somewhat to the arts with federal building costs, as well as to kind of break up the monotony of that a financial district or business district can sort of be known for. There's a certain look to it, and I'm just trying to add some cultural capital, buzzword there, into these areas. So assist in the spread of culture. And it's a way of integrating the arts into the cityscape. Now, an image, so this is what we commonly think of when we think of public art, probably. We've got, there was many different choices I could have made here. We've got a statue of George Washington. You may know Andy Rooney from television. I'm going to share this link in the page so you can click on. I didn't choose the fire emoji for no reason. He's got a pretty fired up opinion about public art and what it should be and what it shouldn't be. So when we're done this, take a minute and take a look at his opinion, or maybe pause it and take a look at his opinion. And I'm asking the question here, why is public art often controversial? This is something that Eric Golinek from Grand Valley State is quoted saying at the start of the page. Really, there's a few reasons. Some of them are, in this case, we're taking common space, putting art there and saying this represents all of us. Anytime that's done, there's people who stand up and say, well, this doesn't represent me. And that's a thought of Eric Golinek's. They are often funded or partially funded by public money. That acronym there stands for the National Endowment for the Arts, which we're going to look at in the next slide. So just hold your horses on that term. They exist where a large populace sees them. So they're subjected to more critique than an artwork in a gallery or museum, which is something that folks either have to go out of their way or maybe even pay to go into. Okay, National Endowment for the Arts. My goodness, my bubble's just taking up so much space today. What is it? It was first funded by Congress in 1967, so a fairly recent governmental development. Their self-defined mission is to teach the public how to see and appreciate advanced art. I specify that that's their self-defined mission because hopefully, as you've seen in this class so far, um, advanced art, that is such a subjective term, but that's the term that the NEA is using. Their theory is that in teaching individuals to appreciate art, their social and cultural lives will be improved. And what do we call that? You all should be yelling cultural capital right now. The dissemination of art makes everyone's lives more interesting and exposes those who wouldn't normally seek out art to it. So, this is kind of the argument that we see for public art, right? For better or worse, folks are going to be exposed more to public art. As I say in this next point that I forgot was there. Okay, that's all I wanted to say on that. So hope you enjoyed and understood the points on public art, why it's controversial, and the National Endowment for the Arts. So go back into the page and watch Andy Rooney's hot take on public artworks if you haven't already. And as always, hit me up if you have any questions.